Welcome to While We Were Distracted, the podcast where we explore topics that often get overshadowed in the rush of daily life. Please take a moment to like and subscribe, it really helps.
Okay, so get this. We're going to talk about $1 trillion. $1 trillion. Lost to scams.
It's a crazy number, right? I mean, think about it. That's bigger than a lot of countries' entire GDP. Just gone.
Yeah, we're talking about APP scams,
Yeah.
authorized push payment. Basically, you get tricked into sending money online, and it's usually gone for good.
The Global Anti-Scam Alliance, they call it GESA. They're saying $1.026 trillion globally just between August 2022 and August 2023.
Yeah, that's the big thing here. This isn't just like one bad week. It's getting worse and worse. So for this deep dive, we're using Experian's 2024 Global Identity and Fraud Report. They've got info from the US, the UK, Brazil, even further out, EMEA and APAC regions.
They really went all over.
It's businesses, consumers, surveys, the whole picture.
And what's interesting is they don't just say what this is. It's like, why is this happening now? Like, why is it blowing up? Part of it's the tech, Like real-time payments, instant transfers. We all use them. They're so convenient.
Right. It's amazing how fast you can send money anywhere. But yeah, that speed can bite you too. Once you realize you've been scammed, the money's probably already gone.
Exactly. And the report says global real-time payments, 266 billion transactions in 2023. That's huge. Some places are slower to adopt it, but it's definitely the way things are going.
So it's not just the money itself, but with so many transactions happening, it's harder to keep track, to even prevent it in the first place.
Yeah, it's like trying to find a needle in this massive haystack that keeps growing.
Totally. And the report's not just about APP scams. It's like a whole buffet of fraud, identity theft, fake accounts, even, what's it called, synthetic identity fraud.
Oh, that's a scary one.
Yeah, break that down for us.
So imagine this. Criminals, they take little bits of real info, like stolen social security numbers. They mix it with fake stuff to make a whole new person. Then they use that fake person to open accounts, get credit, just cause chaos.
So it's like a ghost in the system.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And businesses are pulling their hair out trying to catch them.
So on one side, you've got regular people worried about their own identity being stolen. And then companies are fighting these fake people that are almost impossible to spot.
It's a double whammy, for sure.
And then we add in, wait for it, generative AI.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole other layer.
Right. This tech is amazing and scary at the same time. Feels like it could save us or destroy us.
Well, with fraud, it's both, really.
Right.
Criminals are using Gen AI to make these super convincing phishing scams. And not just those old clunky emails, we're talking deepfakes, like video calls that look and sound like a real person.
Like that case in Hong Kong. Right. That finance worker who sent $25 million because of a deepfake video call.
Exactly. That's how high the stakes are. But the good news is Gen AI is also helping us make better tools to fight fraud.
So it's like good AI versus bad AI.
Kind of, yeah. Gen AI can look at audio, images, video. It finds tiny things that are off that show it's a deep fake, things that our eyes and ears might miss.
It's crazy how smart this stuff is getting.
Hmm.
But are companies actually using these tools?
They are, more than you might think. The report found that in the UK, it's about 25% of businesses. In the US, it's even higher, like 33%.
That's good to hear. But as the tech gets better and the scams get more complex, it gets harder to say who's to blame when they work. Is it the person, the bank, the tech companies?
That's the trillion-dollar question, literally. And the laws are trying to catch up, but it's tough.
So is anyone actually doing anything to protect people?
There are definitely some moves being made. Like in the UK, they have this new financial services markets bill. It puts more pressure on payment providers to, pay back victims of APP fraud.
So in the UK, you might actually get your money back if you get scammed.
Oh.
What about the US? Anything like that here?
Not exactly. It's less clear-cut. There's no specific law like that UK one. But there's definitely pressure on the big banks to do more, to protect people and give money back when fraud happens. It feels like blaming the victim all the time just isn't going to fly anymore.
Yeah, things are changing, but slowly. And it's not just outside threats we got to worry about. The report also talked about first-party fraud, where it's the customer themselves trying to scam the system.
Yeah, sadly, that's a thing too. It's becoming more common. People taking advantage of systems that are supposed to help them, exaggerating claims, faking transactions, whatever it takes to get paid.
So it's not always a simple good guy, bad guy situation. There's this whole gray area.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And no matter what the law says, businesses need to be proactive about fighting this stuff. It's not just about their own money. It's about protecting their customers and their reputation, Trust is everything these days.
Which brings us to that classic problem. How do you have strong security but also make things easy to use online?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to jump through hoops just to buy something or send money to a friend.
Right. It's about finding the right balance. And the report found that if you make things too complicated online, people just give up.
Yeah, I've been there. You
Yeah.
start filling out a form, and it's like they want your blood type and your firstborn child.
Exactly. And companies are losing out big time because of this. Like in EMEA and APAC, 58% of people quit online applications just because the process was too much hassle.
So what's the answer? How do you make the internet safe without turning it into Fort Knox?
It's about using smart tools that work in the background without bothering you, like behavioral biometrics and device intelligence.
Okay, those sound fancy. What do they actually do?
So behavioral biometrics, it's pretty cool. It looks at how you do things online, like your typing speed, how you move the mouse, even the angle you hold your phone. All that makes a unique fingerprint.
So it's not just what you know, like your password. It's how you do things,
Yeah, and if someone tries to get into your account, but they don't act like you, it raises a red flag.
like a digital lie detector test.
And then there's device intelligence. It checks out your device itself, your IP address, operating system, all that. It can spot risky devices that might be used for fraud.
So it's like a digital detective looking over your shoulder and at your computer, too.
Exactly. And all this happens without you even noticing. Security without the hassle.
That's great. But even with all this, it seems like people still don't trust companies with their data. Do companies even realize that?
They should, because the numbers are pretty bad. Only 11% of people in the UK and 16% in the US feel confident that companies can actually tell it's them online.
Yikes, that's a big problem.
Yeah,
Companies need to work on that trust, show they actually care about protecting our data.
definitely. And this is where data sharing gets tricky. It's obviously helpful for fighting fraud, but then there's privacy, right?
Yeah, it's a tough one. Sharing info can make things safer overall. But people are also right to be worried about who has their info and what they're doing with it.
The report actually asked people what they thought about data sharing, and it's mixed. Some people see the benefits for security, but they're still unsure.
So what are people actually saying?
For example, 55% in the UK and 50% in the US said sharing data for security is a good thing. But there's still a lot of hesitation. It all comes down to trust.
Makes sense. People want to know their data is being used the right way, not abused.
Exactly. Companies need to be open about how they use data, and they need to focus on building trust with their customers. If you're asking people to share sensitive stuff, you gotta prove you'll handle it carefully.
Show them you're protecting them, not exploiting them.
Exactly. And the report says, for the future of all this, AI and machine learning are key.
AML, the power couple of tech these days. It feels like we're entering a whole new world of how we fight fraud.
We are. The old ways just don't cut it anymore. Fraud is happening so fast, so complex, you need AML to keep up.
Because they can look at these huge piles of data that would take humans forever to go through. And they can find patterns we might completely miss.
Exactly. AML can learn from what happened in the past. It can spot weird stuff and even predict what fraud might happen next.
Like a crystal ball for scammers.
Haha. Yeah, but it's only as good as the data it gets, right? So companies need to keep their systems up to date, or they'll fall behind.
Like fighting a modern war with old weapons. You got to keep upgrading your arsenal.
Great analogy. And even though AML is powerful, it's not the only answer. You need a multi-layered strategy. Combine AML with strong authentication, data sharing, and education.
So build a fortress with multiple layers of defense.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, tech is only part of it.
Yeah, it's on all of us.
Right. It is. AML needs humans to guide it, to make sure it's used the right way. And we all need to be smart about our own online safety, too.
It's a team effort.
It is. And with that in mind, let's look at some real-world examples. How is AML actually being used to fight fraud? It's pretty fascinating stuff. One really cool example is how they're using machine learning to spot weird stuff happening with real-time payments.
So like if I suddenly buy something way more expensive than I usually do, the system would flag it as like, hold on, this might be fraud.
Yep, exactly. It looks at a bunch of things, how much money, what time it is, even what device you're using, to see how likely it is that it's a scam.
It's like a super smart detective watching all our transactions.
Haha, kind of. And the cool thing is, these systems are always learning, always getting better. As new scams pop up, they adapt.
So it's like an AI arms race. The good guys and the bad guys, both using AI to get smarter.
That's a good way to put it. And AML isn't just for single transactions, it's also great for catching those synthetic identities we talked about.
Oh yeah, those fake people that are so hard to spot. How does AI help with that?
It can look at tons of data from all over, credit reports, social media, even public records. And it can find little things that don't add up that point to a fake identity.
So, like, if someone says they're 30 on a loan application, but their Facebook says they just graduated high school last year.
Exactly. Those little inconsistencies, they're like flashing red lights for the AI. It connects the dots and sees the bigger picture.
Like a superpowered detective.
Haha, exactly. And this brings us to another big thing, data sharing.
Right, if the bad guys are sharing info, why shouldn't the good guys?
Exactly. If everyone pools their data, known fraudsters, suspicious stuff, new trends, you can build a much stronger defense, like a united front.
Strength in numbers, right.
But of course, then there's privacy.
Yeah, that's the tricky part.
You can share data at different levels, across whole industries, or just between a few companies. But each way has its own challenges for balancing security and privacy.
So it's not just about blindly sharing everything. You need to be smart about it, find ways to collaborate safely.
Exactly. The report talks about how this is becoming super important, especially with all the cross-border scams and how complex they're getting.
It's not about keeping secrets anymore. It's about realizing we're all in this together and sharing info to protect everyone.
Yeah, that's the key. And data sharing isn't just between businesses, it's also about working with consumers, educating them.
Right, because if people know what to look out for, they're less likely to get scammed in the first place.
Exactly. Companies need to teach their customers about the latest threats. What scams are out there, what red flags to watch for.
Clear explanations, easy to understand tips, how to report suspicious stuff, make it all accessible so people can protect themselves.
Exactly. It's like a neighborhood watch, but online.
Love that analogy.
It
And as the lines between online and offline get blurrier, this idea of shared responsibility is even more important.
is. Our digital lives are basically our real lives now. The stakes are higher than ever.
So we need a holistic approach to all this. It's not just about the tech, it's about being aware, being careful, and working together.
That's it. And speaking of working together,
What about the laws and regulations around all this? Are they finally catching up to how fast and tricky these scams are getting?
they're trying. We talked about the UK's new bill, the one that makes payment providers pay back victims. It's a good start, for sure.
It's like telling the banks, hey, you need to do more to protect your customers, but is it enough?
It's definitely a wake-up call. It shows that they can't just ignore this anymore. We'll have to see if it actually stops these scams, but it's a good step.
And what about here in the U.S.? Anything similar on the horizon?
Not yet, but there's definitely pressure building. Congress is looking into how the big banks are doing things, and more people are saying we need stronger laws to protect consumers from APP fraud.
Feels like change is coming. Eventually, the U.S. will have to do something.
Yeah, probably. And as the laws change, businesses need to keep up. They need to know what the rules are and adapt how they do things.
Right. Ignorance is no excuse, especially when it comes to people's money and their trust.
Exactly. And even beyond the legal stuff, there's reputation, how customers see you. If a company is known for being bad at security or for not helping scam victims, that can really hurt them.
Yeah, bad news travels fast these days. If you don't prioritize security in your customers, people will find out, and that can be hard to come back from.
It's like a digital stain on your brand. That's why companies need to be proactive, open, and honest, and really focus on the customer.
It's not just about checking boxes. It's about building a culture of trust and security.
That's the goal. And as we wrap up this deep dive into APP scams,
Let's bring it back to what individuals can do to protect themselves.
because we all have a part to play, right?
Exactly. We can't just rely on companies and the government to do everything.
We need to be smart and careful ourselves.
So be proactive, be skeptical, and don't be afraid to ask questions, especially if someone's asking for money or personal info out of the blue.
Yeah, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And if you get an email or a text that seems weird, double check with the sender. Like, call them or send a separate email.
A quick check can save you a lot of trouble later.
Definitely. And be careful about clicking links or opening attachments from people you don't know.
That's how a lot of malware and phishing attacks get you.
It's like, don't talk to strangers, but online.
And remember, if you do get scammed, don't be embarrassed to report it. Telling your story could help stop someone else from getting scammed the same way.
It's like shining a light on those dark corners of the internet.
Exactly. And by working together, sharing info, being proactive, we can make the online world safer for everyone. That online neighborhood watch we talked about.
That's the spirit. And as tech keeps changing so fast, this idea of working together is going to be even more important.
Because the scammers are always coming up with new tricks. We got to stay ahead of them.
Which brings us to the last part of our deep dive. We'll look at some of the newest trends and give you some practical tips for staying safe online.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about what's happening now. But what about the future? What are you, like, the most worried about when it comes to all this?
Well, one thing that's kind of scary is how all this tech is coming together. And it's creating these brand new ways for scammers to attack.
Coming together, that sounds ominous. Can you give us, like, a real-world example of what you mean?
Think about the Internet of Things, all those smart devices, in our homes, our cars, everywhere. And then you add in how fast AI is getting better. And it's like a perfect storm for some really bad scams. They could exploit stuff we haven't even thought of yet.
So, like, someone could hack my smart refrigerator, steal my credit card info while I'm getting a midnight snack.
Haha. Maybe not the fridge specifically, but the idea is right. The more stuff is connected, the more ways there are to attack. It's not just your computer anymore, it's your whole digital life.
It's like having 100 open windows in your house, just waiting for someone to climb in.
And the scammers are getting more clever too. We're seeing more of these social engineering attacks. They target specific people using their personal info, stuff they get from social media or other places online.
So it's not just those random phishing emails anymore.
They're getting personal, figuring out our weaknesses, and using that against
It's
us.
like a next-level con game.
Yeah.
So what can we do? What are some tips our listeners can use right now to stay safe?
Number one, be careful what you share online. Check your privacy settings on social media. Don't put too much personal stuff out there. And think twice before you click on links or go to websites you don't know.
So treat your online identity like it's valuable. Don't just give it away.
Exactly. And
Right.
when you're buying stuff online or sending money, double check who you're sending it to, especially if it's someone new.
Don't be afraid to call them and make sure they're legit.
It's always better to be safe than sorry.
And if someone asks for money or personal info out of the blue, don't give it to them. Don't click links in weird emails or texts.
And never, ever give your bank details or passwords over the phone or email.
If you're not sure, just delete it.
Good advice. And stay informed. Read about the latest scams, how they work. There are websites, blogs, podcasts, all kinds of resources out there.
Knowledge is power, right?
Yeah,
The more you know, the harder it is for the scammers to trick you.
absolutely. And if you do get scammed, report it. Don't be embarrassed. Sharing your story could help someone else.
Yeah, it's like warning your neighbors about a suspicious person in the neighborhood.
It helps everyone stay safe. And by working together, sharing info, being proactive, we can make the online world a safer place.
It all comes back to that online neighborhood watch.
It does. And as technology keeps changing, this is going to be even more important in the future.
We've got to stay ahead of the bad guys.
We do. So that's it, our deep dive into the crazy world of APP fraud.
Wow, we covered a lot, right? How big the problem is, how the scammers are getting smarter, the law is trying to catch up, and what we can all do to protect ourselves.
It was a lot, but hopefully it was helpful. People need to feel like they can control their online safety.
Knowledge is definitely power, and I think we gave our listeners a good dose of that today.
But it doesn't stop here, right?
It doesn't. This is an ongoing thing. We all need to keep learning and adapting to stay safe.
So keep asking questions, stay curious, and stay safe out there.
Don't forget to like and subscribe for the next episode on While We Were Distracted.